What are some of the conditions that you see in terms of the U.S. reception of these peoples coming to the U.S.?
One thing that I see that I would mention is that a lot of white Americans, well, and I would say it's not just white Americans, Americans who aren't of Latin American descent, don't necessarily understand the differences. So, for instance, they won't understand that a Puerto Rican's already a U.S. citizen. They don't even realize that Puerto Rico is an American colony. And so Puerto Ricans can travel freely. They don't necessarily know that Cubans used to be able, until very, very recently, the minute that they stepped foot on American soil, they were automatically sort of fast-tracked to special kind of a route to citizenship, which was not something that other migrants, whether they came from Latin America or not, were allowed to do until that was taken away during the Obama administration as one of the things that was the kind of very short-lived, as it turned out, opening up to Cuba. So I think that's something that I wish. And then I think there is, I mentioned white Americans, I think there is a persistent kind of racism towards brownness. So the way people look does impact the way that they're received into this country oftentimes, and people make judgments or assumptions based on the way people are looking. I gave a talk some months ago for the American Historical Association where I talked a little bit about this. Central American migrants are Mesoamericans, meaning, and especially coming from Guatemala, but also from Honduras and El Salvador, whether they still speak indigenous languages or not. They look visibly indigenous. They look visibly Mesoamerican. They have brown skin. And they are often just considered what the historian Kelly Lytle Hernandez calls Mexican brown, right? That sort of making us, and in fact, I grew up in Texas, and I think my own grandparents who, were extremely racist towards the Mexican American, the Tejano population in Texas. It was to be Mexican was to be Indian with a capital I, and that was a racialized term. So I don't think that most people in the United States that aren't Latin American understand the difference between, and the historical baggage and the cultures that are different from someone from Ecuador versus someone from Puerto Rico versus someone from Argentina versus someone from Mexico, etc.
Thank you so much for that.